Let's get into the top storylines today in this game. Our guys have come up with several of them, and maybe none more important than the first one we're going to hit on, B-Mac.
Yes, sir.
And it's, can the Bengals protect Joe Burrow?
Nah, I don't think so, guys. And the reason why I feel that way is because they haven't protected Joe Burrow the entire season. Now, oddly enough for them, he's been able to surpass some of their shortcomings to get them to this point. But playing against one of the more prolific pass rushing units in the National Football League, led by the best defensive lineman in the game in Aaron Donald.
Best defensive player in the game.
Yes, but he didn't get the award. That went to TJ Watt.
That's
Shout
okay.
out to Steeler Nation, by the way. But the way he goes about his business, and now we're seeing the emergence of Von Miller, and then of course Leonard Ford has been doing a tremendous job. I think it's a little bit too much. It will be too much for Cincinnati, and like I said, they've been bad the entire year. They surrendered the most sacks in the National Football League, and don't forget about that second-round game against Tennessee. Yes, they won, but they gave up 9 sacks in that ball game.
That's right, 51 sacks. Their sack percentage was 9.2%, which is the second highest only to the Chicago Bears this past season. And yes, in the postseason, they haven't been able to block anybody. I was talking with a Rams source recently who said, listen, they can't block us, but they also couldn't block the Chiefs and the Titans.
Exactly.
And look what happened. And so the Rams understand that they should very well be able to dominate up front, especially when you look at that right guard position. They pulled Jackson Carman. They had a Denijay in there. What is that split going to be? Are they both going to play? Jonah Williams has allowed 11 sacks this season.
The entire right side.
Yeah, the entire right side.
Yes.
But, I mean, Trey Hopkins might be their best offensive lineman, and he's not that great of a center out there. But they will be able to get to Joe Burrow. Fortunately for the Bengals and Joe Burrow, as you know, B-Mac, he's been dealing with pressure all year.
Yes.
He's been delivering strikes all year. So can that pressure ultimately impact him to a point that we haven't seen this postseason? To be determined.
He has the best numbers in the NFL all throughout the season and playoffs when he is faced with pressure. Ran for those 4 first downs in the AFC Championship game as well. All right, our next big storyline, and a lot of us are going to be licking our chops waiting to see it. How much is Jalen Ramsey going to be lined up against Jamar Chase?
Me personally, if I was Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, 5 is following 1 everywhere on the football field. That's why you brought Jalen Ramsey to town. He is a 5-star player. This is a 5-star matchup, so he needs to be on their 5-star player. The thing about Jalen Ramsey, the versatility that he provides has been well documented. He's a guy that can play outside or play inside, and he has been their nickel corner as of late. But in certain situations, I need him to be on their best pass catcher, because one thing about Joe Burrow and the confidence that he has in his rookie wide receiver, anytime he sees a one-on-one matchup, he's going to number 1. And 9 times out of 10, guys, he will complete those said passes to this guy. So me personally, if you want to showcase why you brought this guy to town, they surrender how many first-round picks for Jalen?
They gave up 2 first-round picks.
2. Yeah. Don't hide him. Put him out here for the world to see, to be able to showcase the type of corner he is against their best pass catcher.
And, one of the things that he did throughout this previous season was he lined up in the slot throughout the season. But in the postseason, where was he? He was out wide. He was lined up best on best a lot of times. You're talking about something, making him follow a receiver, something he really hasn't done, right, in Raheem Morris's defense. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, only because I feel like folks feel that they should be surprised to see that. But I completely agree with you, B-Mac. Jamar Chase is an absolute dog out there. And the fact about him, as well as a lot of these Cincinnati Bengals wide receivers, they don't get a ton of separation, yet they still put up production. You talk about yards after the catch with him. Listen, Jalen Ramsey will be all over Jamar Chase when he is matched up on him. But it's all about, is Jalen Ramsey going to be able to tackle him before he runs away from him? Because the one thing that Jamar Chase has on Jalen Ramsey, he absolutely has that speed on him and most corners in the NFL.
On the other side of the ball, it's our next big storyline, and it's Cooper Kupp, best receiver in the NFL, Triple Crown winner, set all kinds of records this season. How can the Bengals not stop him? That's not going to happen, but how can they contain him?
Well, Mike Hilton will have his plate full today. The thing about Mike Hilton, he's really done a real good job, not just in coverage, but tackling, being able to be another hat in the blitz concept. He's been one of the best performers in the secondary, but he needs to have his best game because, as you said, Cooper Kupp is a beast. The way they utilize him is something that has provided issues for every defense they face because they do a great job in scheming him open. So the best way, me personally, to slow him down, try to neutralize Cooper Kupp, Kupp is get hands on him. Do not allow him to have a free release into his route concepts, because 9 times out of 10, he's running an option-like route. An option-like route is the ability to be able to run my route based on what I see from the defender. If the corner safety, if he's inside of me, I'm running an out-breaking route. If he's outside of me, I'm running an in-breaking route. He's one of the best route runners when it comes to having the option that we have in the National Football League, JJ. But me personally, get someone on him. In certain situations, third down, obvious passing downs, make sure you touch him up at the line of scrimmage to kind of mess up the rhythm and the chemistry between Cooper Kupp running his route and receiving a pass from Matthew Stafford.
I think one of the interesting things that, because Cooper Kupp has been going off in this postseason, one of the things that we're not really talking about is the absence of Tyler Higbee. We know that he's not going to be playing in this game. It's going to be the Kendall Blanton game there at tight end. But what do they miss without Tyler Higbee, and how that helps Cooper Kupp so much in the short and intermediate, right? Because he built and brought so much attention there in the middle to let Cooper Kupp be so aggressive and have the season that he had. So can Kendall Blanton, former undrafted free agent who had 5 catches for 57 yards recently, can he be the guy that is going to help Cooper Kupp get open, or is he going to build off of that game that he had 2 weeks ago against the San Francisco 49ers? And B-Mac, when you talk about punching him, like hitting him, getting his hands on, where does he get his hands on him? Like hit me right here in my better suit. Where is he going?
In your better suit. But the thing about being physical, you don't want to get your hands too high, because anything around the neck area is considered hands to the face. But you want to touch him up. Mike Hilton is shorter. He's smaller than Cooper Kupp, so he already has a leverage advantage. Make sure you touch him up, but also to communicate with the backers, communicate with the safety. One guy will not limit Cooper Kupp. It has to be an all hands on deck mentality and understanding. Listen, we're playing a zone concept. I'm not letting this guy off the line of scrimmage freely. He has to be disrupted. If you don't disrupt him, we've seen oftentimes throughout the entire season, this is a guy that will single-handedly beat your defense.
We are here in Inglewood, SoFi Stadium behind us. It is a home game, obviously, for the LA Rams. It's not the home game that, look, if the Super Bowl was in Pittsburgh one of those years that you played in the Super Bowl, it would be a different home field advantage for you in Pittsburgh than it's going to be for the Rams in this building today. But B-Mac, how much do you think home field advantage plays into this, if at all, for the Rams?
Well, let's go back to a year ago. For the very first time last year, we saw a Super Bowl home team play in the Super Bowl, which was Tampa.
Yep.
And that was an advantage for Tampa. Let's keep it real. When it came to having more noise in the stadium, the advantage was to Tampa. And I believe we will see the same impact in today's ball game. Granted, the Rams, they're the road team, but let's keep it real. They're the home team. They will have more home fans, even though Cincinnati, their fans
really? They've traveled now.
They've traveled, but let's keep it real. We're in Los Angeles. For guys or girls that don't necessarily like NFL, if you're living here, you're rooting for the home team. That has been the case most importantly. So I think that will be an advantage for the Rams, especially when the Rams' defense is on the football field. We talked about the concerns in protecting Joe Burrow. They probably will have to go to a silent count. Yeah. In most cases, that's an advantage that the defensive linemen love to have to their side, because they can kind of time up the jump, and not to mention delay a game penalties and offsides.
Well, I'll tell you this, the noise at Arrowhead, and it was a whole lot louder at Arrowhead 2 weeks ago than it will be here, and they handled that with aplomb. I will say this, though. You're talking more about crowd noise and how that may impact. There's something to be said about the creature comforts that the Los Angeles Rams have been able to enjoy, sleeping in their own beds, right? Working out at their team facilities. They're going to be in their own locker room.
Yeah, that's important.
They're even going to be on the same sideline, even though they are the visitor. Yeah. They have, and I talked about this earlier this week on CBS Sports HQ, they, even though they are the visitor, they're still going to be on their home sideline, because they took the visitor sideline when the Chargers took the home sideline. So there's nothing for the Rams that change in this game really whatsoever.
And they have the same locker room they usually use.
Exactly. And so where you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, for example, flying in here, trying to get acclimated to the time, figuring out how sort of the logistics of everything, that's going to work in favor, I believe, of the Rams.
And you talked about the time. Let's keep it real, guys. We've been here all week. I've yet to get acclimated to the time difference.
Yeah. I'm still hitting the wall around 8 p.m.
So just imagine how the Bengal players are feeling who arrived on Tuesday. You know what I mean? Clearly, they have to be in basically the same situation we are, because we're getting tired around 6 o'clock around here.
And, kickoff's going to be around 85 degrees. This might be the warmest Super Bowl in recorded history. Well, the Bengals have been trying to practice at peak hours when talking about temperature all week long. The Rams have been living it for years, literally.
And this stadium, even though there's a roof,
no AC.
Sides are open.
That's right.
No AC. And right now it's about 74 degrees. It feels great. Temperature's going to rise about 10 degrees throughout the day, and it is going to be hot here for us in our Super Bowl pregame coverage and for the players out there on the field. All right, next storyline, the coaches and the familiarity. Zach Taylor was on Sean McVay's staff the last time the Rams were in the Super Bowl a few years ago. How much might that familiarity impact the game, JJ?
Yeah, I think it's really going to impact this game, especially because both of these guys, as you mentioned, Chris, they know each other. There's no question about it. And, I mean, we even see the top three names there who have worked together, right? Brandon Staley, the previous defensive coordinator of Sean McVay. When I look at Sean McVay and Zach Taylor, I see two offenses that are extremely similar, especially as it relates to 11 personnel, right? One running back, one tight end. They use them at the highest rates of any other team in the NFL. When I look at empty formations, when you don't have the running back there and you are forcing the defense to declare what they are doing and when they are doing it, no one runs empty formation more than both the Rams and the Bengals. And so I feel like Sean McVay has the advantage here, number one, because he has learned from his failures back from that Super Bowl in Atlanta that he lost 13-3 to Bill Belichick. That's number one. But then number two, he knows what Zach Taylor's going to do. Zach Taylor probably thinks he knows what Sean McVay is going to do as well. But I think in this familiarity battle that I believe Sean McVay has the advantage here.
I agree with you as well, because the thing about Zach Taylor, he got the opportunity to be the Cincinnati Bengals head coach because of working under Sean McVay. It's safe to say he learned more from Sean McVay than Sean McVay learned from him. Advantage, Sean McVay. Sean has been able to coach in a Super Bowl as a head coach before. This is Zach Taylor's first rodeo. And one thing about your first rodeo in this game, the nerves. It hits different levels. And sometimes we see this as fans of the game. Coaches get tight. We
Sean
heard
McVay
Sean
did.
McVay said he said the way he approached the first Super Bowl years ago against New England, he's going to do something totally different because it really affected their execution. So me personally, just being here before, advantage Sean McVay. And like I said, most of the things that Zach has learned, he learned from Sean McVay.
You know the youngest coach to win a Super Bowl?
Mike Tomlin?
Yep, 36. Yeah. If McVay wins today, he would break that record just by a few days.
That's right.
They're
He's 36 in a few weeks, I think. Yeah, he just turned 36.
But he would be the youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl at the age of 36, a little bit younger than Mike Tomlin when he won it with BMAC back in the day.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.